Jesus said, loose them. Bring them to me. And if anyone says anything to you, not you shall ask, but you shall say. I'm going to say that again because, see, somebody is going to be loose right up in here. Watch this. Loose them. Bring them to me. And if anyone says anything to you, not you shall ask, but you shall say. Brothers and sisters, if we're ever going to get anywhere in life, if we're ever going to get anywhere in God, if you're ever going to be loosed, the next thing that you've got to learn how to do is stop thinking that you need man's permission. You see, many of us make the mistake of believing that the success or the failure of a thing is wrapped up, tangled up, and tied up in what man feel about it. Many of us make the mistake of believing that we can't walk into nothing unless man puts his stamp of approval on it. Oh, I believe I'm talking to somebody right now. God has given you a green light. God has given you the go-ahead. God has called you to do something, but you ain't moved yet because man told you that you wasn't ready. You ain't moved yet because man told you that it wasn't your time. Man told you that it wasn't your season. Man told you that it couldn't be done. Man told you that you wasn't equipped. But I got good news for you today. God does not call those that are equipped, but he equips those that he has called. And if God has called you to do a thing, you've got to stand 10 toes down on his word and believe that if God said it, then that settles it. It don't matter what man got to say about it. But I believe it's at least 5 folks in the house right now. You come to a place where you ain't worried about what man got to say because God has the last word. Man said you wouldn't make it, but God had the last word. Man said you wouldn't mount to much, but God had the last word. Man said you was going to need a credit score of at least 650, but God had the last word. Man said you was going to need a big down payment, but God had the last word. Man said you was going to need a degree and 2 years worth of experience, but God had the last word. Man said that he was going to make the church upset by putting your house on TV, but God had the last word. Man said that you were out of your mind, but God had the last word. Man said call the family together because it ain't looking too good, but God had the last word. Man said you and your spouse weren't going to stay together long, but God had the last word. And when it all boils down to it, God has the last word.